Good evening, everyone. I welcome all of you in my very first podcast, and I am here with Amitendra Nath Sinha IPS 2002 batch. He is currently IG of Police Crime Branch, Odisha. Sir has worked in different capacities, and viewers, I would like to tell you that why I thought Sir would be the correct person for this podcast because Sir has been associated with cyber field for so long now. Sir, I'll tell you how this podcast is going to be about. Sir, in this podcast, I'll be asking you questions which will be related to cybercrime only. So, sir, not taking much time of yours, I'll directly come to the questions. Sir, my first question to you is, what are some of the most common types of cybercrimes and how do they affect individuals and businesses? Sir.
Thank you, Gopal. I also welcome your viewers. Please understand the very concept of cybercrime. So cybercrime is essentially a modern age crime wherein a criminal uses modern technology and the digital platform, which is the internet, to commit cybercrime. Essentially, there is a difference between a cybercrime and a conventional crime. Now, please understand that in a conventional form of a crime, the criminal is mostly present at the spot. Whereas in cybercrime, a criminal can stay 1,000 kilometers away and still commit a crime. So this is a new form of crime which is boundaryless. Many criminals, cyber criminals, think that it gives them anonymity to a large extent, which is also true. And since the servers of different organizations and mediums are hoisted abroad in North America, in South America, and in Europe, it becomes very difficult for the law enforcement agency to unravel the truth in the quickest possible manner. So this is the broad framework for you all to understand that cybercrime is a little different from the traditional forms of crime. This is not to tell you all that the traditional forms of crimes are without having an element of cybercrime. Many of them have an element of cyber as well. Now, coming to the next question as to what are the different forms of cybercrime, let me explain you all that cybercrime can broadly be categorized under two different heads. One pertains to cyber frauds. It can include different kinds of phishing. It can include using of fraudulently taking your passwords, and it can include identity theft and such other forms of crime. The second aspect, the second dimension of cybercrime is use of social platforms to commit crimes. Now, this can take a form of, say, where a jilted lover posts an intimate photograph of his lover on the internet in order to take revenge. So these are two broad frameworks. Within this framework, there are many different forms of cybercrime. Sextortion is one of them, which has been prevalent for quite some time. Cryptocurrency-related frauds are also on the rise. So the different forms of cybercrime are evolving over a period of time. And once the cybercriminal understands that this form of crime has been quite there for some time, and his potential victims are aware of the modus operandi of the cybercriminal, he switches on or he introduces a surprise element into the crime. As a result, many of us fall trapped to such forms of crime.
So moving on to the second question. Sir, my question to you is how can individuals and businesses protect themselves against cybercrime and what are some of the best practices to follow?
Uh, See, this is again, as I have always held the view that prevention is always the best form of uh, cure. And this specifically relates very well to cybercrime. So one of the first ways to keep yourself safe, both for an individual as well as business organizations, is to have a strong password. Now, what is a strong password? A strong password has normally at least 8 features, eight elements. And those elements include different forms, including some capital words, some uh, numbers, some special features like hash and others. And if you are able to create a good password, it's very difficult for a cyber criminal to intrude in your system and commit a cyber fraud. Apart from this, it's also important that the passwords are frequently, if not frequently, quite often changed. Now, such change of passwords also gives you that surprise element, which the criminal is not expecting. Invariably, we have a tendency to have an easy password so that we are able to remember. So this is again a trap in which I suggest your viewers should not fall. Second aspect is that our systems are constantly being upgraded, and such features which can save you from cyber frauds are being put for upgradation by the different organizations like Microsoft and Google and Samsung, etc., etc. So on many occasions, due to paucity of time or we find it very irritating, we do not allow it to upgrade. Now, this is a kind of a aberration wherein we are giving an opportunity to the criminal to take advantage of our system. So upgradation is another thing which your viewers should always allow your system to upgrade. This apart, there are other standard safety measures like always adopting a ritual of cyber hygiene. Another aspect is to have antivirus, to have multi-factor or two-factor authentication system. So these are some of the very simple ways and means by using which an organization or an individual can keep his system safe. Now, apart from the devices, even you need to incorporate these safety features in your networks so that you are not caught.
So, my next question to you is what is the role of law enforcement in investigating and prosecuting cybercrime, and what challenges do they face in doing so?
So, as you know, that India is a federal country, and all the state police are empowered to investigate a cyber crime. One of the constant which the police is facing that cyber crime, as per the IT Act, only a police officer of and above the rank of inspector can investigate such cases. Now, there are other challenges associated with investigation of cyber offenses. As I told you in the beginning of our discussion, that cyber offense is an offense which is technology based. So one of the challenges which the police officers face is that they are not updated with the technology. So capacity building is of extreme importance so that the police officer is able to investigate such complex crimes. Now, having said that, please understand that many of the cyber criminals use various features and mechanisms so as to avoid them being identified. So such features give them anonymity. So this is another challenging factor for the investigating officer to identify the criminal itself. Another challenge which is faced by the investigative agency is, while getting the information about the crime and criminal and the systems and the networks they have used, we are dependent upon the servers which are hosted in the countries which are far off, like Europe and America. And getting information from them is really a very, very challenging task, which uh, this problem is being faced by almost every policeman across the globe. And in order to overcome this challenge, the government of India has come up with an organization called I4C. So through this organization, the central government is trying to coordinate, and every state government has been asked to create its own regional cyber coordination center. And through this mechanism, we are trying to help each other. This is about within the national boundary. Beyond the national boundary, let me tell your viewers that Interpol is the agency which coordinates the police actions across the globe. So even the Interpol is seized with the matter, and they are in the process of setting up SOPs and guidelines so that the police officers across the globe can find assistance from each other, and the criminals, the cyber criminals, do not go scot-free.
So, because we are talking about this, so my next question will be much more related to this only. So that is, how can international cooperation help combat cybercrime, and what challenges arise when dealing with cross-border criminal activity? So,
So I think I have already answered this question to you. Basically, as I have told you, that cybercrime is a crime which is without boundaries, which is boundaryless. Sitting within the comfort of your home or office, 1,000 kilometers away, you can commit a cybercrime. And this crime is not restricted to any state or the traditional forms of a police station or districts or country. Anywhere, if you are on the network. So one of the essential requirement for commission of such crime is that the criminal as well as his potential victim should be there on the network. If he is there, if he is available on the network, such crime can be committed wherever and from wherever the criminal wants. And in order to combat such a form of a crime, as I have told your viewers, that already Government of India has come up with a mechanism, with a structural framework, which has already been put in place. Apart from the national framework, since it has it doesn't have a national boundary, this form of crime, the Interpol is in the process of coming up with SOPs and guidelines so that each and every country can cooperate with each other in the larger social interest.
So because today all of us is talking that science is advancing and it is helping us in some or other way. So, sir, my next question to you is that is related to, sir, science and technology. So that is, what are some emerging trends in cybercrime, and how are criminals adopting to new technologies and tactics?
That's an excellent question, Gopal.
So,
let me tell you that cybercrime is also evolving crime. As I have told you that initially, the cyber criminals were not utilizing so much of technology. They were rather utilizing the human weaknesses, the human psychology, and it's popularly called as social engineering, in order to defraud their potential victims. But now cybercrime has gone ahead with use of very serious technologies, including the dark web and deep net, we call it, to commit as serious crimes as cyber terrorism, cyber narcotics, Here, cryptocurrency is being utilized to exchange money, to exchange hands, and such forms of crimes are not only grave, they are threat both to the society as well as humanity as a whole. All the countries across the globe are very, very concerned about such forms of crime which have emerged of late. In fact, one of the form of crime which is which has caught everyone by surprise is use of drones. So drone technology has also emerged as a potential, it has a potential to be used against VIPs and important functionaries to commit an offense. So cybercrime is a form of crime which is constantly evolving, and it is very difficult for the enforcement agencies to keep abreast with the technology. And this is a challenge which all of us in the police are facing.
So moving on to the next question. So that is that how can we raise awareness about the importance of cybersecurity? And what role can education and training play in preventing cybercrime? So,
let me tell your viewers that the ancient adage that prevention is better than cure is of extreme relevance in the case of cybercrime. So the best form of how to avoid cybercrime is to take some basic steps to prevent oneself from being defrauded or being duped by a cyber criminal. As I have spoken in the beginning itself, that there are certain ways and means, like for instance, having a difficult password, having a password which you are constantly changing, upgrading your system, keeping your network well protected through a hard password, having the latest antiviruses, and having two-factor authentication in case of social platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, etc., etc. These are some of the mechanisms by using which one can easily prevent himself from becoming a victim of cybercrime. Having said this, there are many other tools and technologies which are coming up in order to help a person not to fall prey to cyber crimes. But these basic steps, which I have already spoken about, can help us, can go a long way in helping all of us to avoid becoming a victim of potential cybercrime.
Sir, I am sure our viewers will abide by what sort of the mechanisms which you have told, the steps how we can protect ourselves from the cybercrime. And for sure, I'm going to implement all those in my personal life. But sir, before you leave, I would request you that if you want to give any message to our viewers, to the youth, to the current generation, sir.
So my message to your viewers is very simple. Being on the network, you have to adopt certain cyber hygiene practices, which helps you to prevent yourself from becoming a victim of potential cybercrime. These basic cyber hygiene should be a daily ritual for all of us. And I have already spoken about these rituals. And by using these basic mechanisms, we can all be safe and sound. Thank you.
So I would like to thank you again for coming for this podcast. And sir, I might disturb you in future as well for such podcasts for our viewers. So thank you so much, sir, for coming again.
Thank you. Thank you to your viewers.
So with your permission, I'll switch off the recording.
Yeah, please.